Every single day, we trade our time and energy for small pieces of metal, rectangular slips of paper, or more commonly, a fluctuating balance on a digital screen. We then hand those tokens over for food, shelter, or the latest tech gadget. When you really pause to think about it, the concept of currency is brilliantly bizarre. Today, wealth doesn't even need a physical form. It exists as an invisible stream of ones and zeros endlessly circling the globe through fiber optic cables. But how exactly did humanity transition from tangible goods to digital data? To understand where finance is heading, we have to look back at the fascinating, thousands-of-year journey detailing the evolution of money. Long before the first vault was built, our ancestors relied on the barter system. If you were an early farmer with an abundance of grain, you would trade your surplus directly with a tailor who needed food and happened to have an extra coat, or a brewer who could offer you beer. While straightforward, this system had a massive flaw. It required a perfect coincidence of wants. If the tailor didn't want your grain, the entire transaction collapsed. To solve this, communities needed a medium of exchange. In ancient China, instead of lugging heavy, perishable goods across long distances, traders began utilizing small tokens that visually represented the items they wished to exchange. Over time, these specific replicas morphed into abstract, uniform metal circles that could represent the value of any item. Meanwhile, across the ancient world, different cultures experimented with various commodities. According to historical texts, early Roman soldiers sometimes received their compensation in highly valuable blocks of salt, a practice that gave birth to the modern word salary. The true birth of standard coinage as we know it, however, occurred around 600 BC in Lydia, a region located in modern-day Turkey. These primitive coins were minted from electrum, a naturally occurring blend of gold and silver. This innovation made the Lydian monarch, King Croesus, unimaginably wealthy, cementing the phrase "rich as Croesus" into our global vocabulary for millennia to come. As centuries passed, carrying heavy sacks of metal coins became its own burden. The solution once again emerged from China around 700 AD, shortly after the invention of woodblock printing. The Chinese government began issuing the world's first paper currency. Locals lightheartedly dubbed it flying cash, because a sudden gust of wind could literally blow your life savings away. When the Italian explorer Marco Polo journeyed through China in the 1200s, he was stunned by this lightweight alternative and brought the concept back to Europe. At the time, Europeans were primarily relying on the silver florin, which had established itself as the dominant international coin across the continent. Across the Atlantic, money became a tool of geopolitical control. When the British Empire colonized North America, the Crown strictly prohibited the colonists from minting their own coins, aiming to keep them economically dependent and prevent any notions of self-governance. It was a strict policy, but the colonists were resourceful. They simply gathered whatever foreign currencies they could find from global trade networks. The undisputed favorite was the large, silver Spanish dollar. This coin was widely known as a piece of 8 because its value equated to 8 Spanish reals. Because silver is a relatively soft metal, if a merchant didn't have exact change, they would literally chop the coin into physical fractions. Paper money didn't achieve widespread, permanent adoption in Western society until the mid-1600s. It began when banks started issuing paper receipts promising that the bearer could exchange the note for a specific amount of gold kept in the vault. Merchants quickly realized it was infinitely easier to simply trade these lightweight paper promises with one another rather than dragging heavy chests of bullion across town. Centuries later, the stress of war forced another massive monetary shift. During the American Civil War, both the Union and the Confederacy needed to fund their massive military campaigns, but faced a severe shortage of gold and silver. To finance the conflict, the Union government printed massive quantities of unbacked, government fiat paper money. Because the backs of these notes were printed with distinct green ink, the public began calling them greenbacks, creating a visual association between the color green and American wealth that persists to this day. The 20th century completely rewrote the rules of consumer finance by decoupling transactions from immediate funds. In 1946, the world's first formal consumer credit program arrived, aptly named Charge It. Though primitive and highly localized compared to today's financial networks, the concept was revolutionary. It paved the way for nationwide systems like the Bank Americard, which eventually rebranded into the global giant we know as Visa, alongside its chief competitor, MasterCard. By the 1980s, the financial world officially crossed into the digital age. The widespread introduction of automatic teller machines, or ATMs, alongside personal identification numbers, PINs, and plastic debit cards fundamentally altered how society accessed cash. Then came the dawn of the Internet. As users began exploring the World Wide Web in the 1990s, the first electronic money services emerged, offering consumers a digital alternative to traditional brick-and-mortar banking institutions. In our current era, we are witnessing perhaps the most radical experiment in monetary history, cryptocurrency. Led by Bitcoin, this asset class introduces a decentralized framework to global finance. Unlike traditional currencies, crypto operates on a peer-to-peer network across the Internet, free from the control of any central bank or single government entity. When you look at the grand trajectory of human commerce, the transformation is stunning. We began in a completely cashless society, trading goats for timber and crops for clothing. We then spent centuries bound to physical tokens, coins, and paper notes. Today, with the unstoppable rise of chip-and-pin technology, mobile wallets, and tap-to-pay systems, physical cash is rapidly vanishing from daily commerce. We have effectively come full circle, returning to a cashless society. Only this time, it is powered by an ultra-advanced global network. It leaves us with a fascinating question. Will physical fiat currency disappear entirely into a purely digital future, or will humanity invent an even stranger, unimaginable way to define value? If you enjoyed this deep dive into economic history, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming financial breakdowns. Let us know in the comments below. Do you think physical cash will survive the next few decades? Thanks for listening, and we will see you in the next video.